Devanjal, Devanjal,
Yes, I'm here.
Kunisam, no?
Yes.
Okay, sir. After 5 minutes, we will start the session.
Okay.
Sandeepa,
sir.
Geeta,
sir.
okay. और 5 मिनट स्क्रीन कौन शेयर হয়েছে না
sir, screen to share হয়েছে।
ওকে আরো 5 মিনিট আমি সেশন আরম্ভ করে দিম হ্যাঁ
ঠিক আছে স্যার।
Dr. Dimbeswar,
দেবঞ্জল
kindly try to connect some more participants.
ওকে না they are joining.
I need the students.
Okay, they are joining. Devanjal, Devanjal, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, shall we start the session?
Yeah.
Some of the participants are joining the YouTube also. Okay. They
Sir,
will.
my voice is clear.
Yes, your voice is clear.
Thank you.
Okay. Sandeepa, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
You can start the session.
Okay, sir. Good evening, everyone. Honorable Principal Sir, Dr. Sabyasachi Mohanta Sir, Vice Principal Dr. Rina Hendik Ma'am, HOD of Botany Department, and the coordinator of this lecture series, Dr. Dimbiswa Das Sir, respected resource person, faculty members, my dear students and participants. I, Ms. Sandeepa Agarwala, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany, Gorgaon College, take the pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of the organizing committee to the day 5 of this week-long lecture series on botany organized by the Department of Botany, Gorgaon College. We are honored to have with us the speaker of today's session, Mr. Devanjal Bora sir. Before our speaker delivers his lecture, I would like to briefly introduce him to our participants. He is presently working as Senior Scientist and Research Officer, Botany at Central Ayurveda Research Institute, Guwahati, and has extensive field experience in medicinal plant survey and ethnobotanical research, and has visited several areas of the entire Northeast region of India for the same purpose. He is also heading the Northeast Herbarium of Ayurveda Research, which is an index herbarium having a raw drug museum and demonstrative medicinal plant garden that has live medicinal plants of the region. He is particularly interested in inventorying peculiar and potential bioresources of the region in general and angiosperm of Assam in particular. Today, he will be talking on the recent advances in research on traditional knowledge of medicinal plants in the light of Sustainable Development Goals. The participants are asked to put up their queries in the chat box. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Sandeepa. So, respected Principal Sir, Vice Principal Ma'am, HOD Dr. Dimbiswa Das, other faculty members, and my dear students. Hope I am audible and my sound is clear now.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You're
Okay. Thank you. So, perhaps you have gathered so much of knowledge in the last few days by different speakers. Actually, I could not attend all the lectures, but I attended the lecture of Dr. Rajiv Gogoi the first day. So hope you will question me. You can question in between also if any query arises in your mind. So especially I would like to talk with the students. Okay. So now I will start sharing my screen. I think it is visible, no?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay. So, topic of today's lecture is recent advances in research on traditional knowledge of medicinal plants in the light of sustainable development goals. So before going to the discussion, we should know what is sustainable development goals and who put these goals and for whom these goals are working. And before that, we should be very clear about the traditional knowledge. What is traditional knowledge? what is indigenous knowledge, what is folk knowledge, what is tribal knowledge, what is coded, what is non-coded. Okay. So I would like to clarify you that traditional knowledge and indigenous knowledge, and also about the folk knowledge and tribal knowledge, all these have different definitions. So while we are working on the ethnobotany or any traditional knowledge working, we should be very clear about the local health traditions. So I'm giving you very simple examples. First, you have to know about what is coded and what is non-coded. So coded is scripted in any language, and non-coded is oral, which is not scripted or not written in any language, but it is going on in the people, within the people, through ages, through their ancestors and through their followers. So there are some local health traditions. For example, in case of Bihu in Assam, we generally try to eat 100 number of hak during the Bihu, during that season. If we could not get 100 numbers, we always try to collect at least 15 to 20 to cook in a daily diet, which is a local health tradition. So this is written. This is written in somewhere in our literature. It may be of Assamese language or English language. And what is ethno-medicinal plants? Ethno means it is always related to a ethnic tribe or ethnic community. If some community is using some plant with a specific cause, it may be of medicinal use or maybe of some different other uses. So this comes under the ethno-medicinal practices, or it can be of medico-ethnobotanical uses. So we should be very clear about these words: medico, ethno, local health, traditional knowledge, indigenous knowledge, folk knowledge. Okay. Like in Assam, we always used to call these plants are medicinals. This opodiudbid. Then we call Homia Dorob, Bon Dorob, Bon Opodi, Gaulia Dorob, like that. So this is the first thing. Then we will go to the Sustainable Development Goals. Actually, there are different Sustainable Development Goals which were adopted by the UN General Assembly. So there are so many goals, but we are directly talking about the Sustainable Development number 3. And the UN General Assembly have put this target 3 as to ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. This SDG 3 has 13 targets and 28 indicators to measure progress towards the targets. And along with this particular development goal, we also have some relation with the medicinal plants to the goal number 1, that is no poverty. Goal number 8, that is decent work and economic growth. Goal number 10, which is to reduce inequality. And goal number 15, which is the life on land. So this is a very big issue. We have to discuss it in a different session, but I'm just trying to have a look on this particular goal, which is goal number 3, to ensure healthy lives and to promote well-being for all at all ages. Actually, why we take this opportunity to discuss here? Because students and researchers all are working towards the plants, especially the medicinal plants, but for whom we are studying or for whom we are researching. It is actually for the people. Especially we are working for the people of our nation. So what is the present scenario? Medicinal plants provide humankind with curative treatments. However, their uses has been declining. This trend threaten remaining knowledge and cultural practices, and risks of biodiversity loss and climate change is always there. Okay, therefore, the promotion and integration of herbal medicinal into primary healthcare is very crucial, and it should be considered a suitable pathway to achieve adequate enhancement capacity. Okay, and wider access to healthcare and conservation of forest resources will support in narrowing the socioeconomic gaps. So, in India, perhaps we know about the Indian system of medicine. So, Indian system of medicine and homeopathy is a particular group of ministry which was originally formed in 1995, and presently in 2014 it has been converted into Ministry of Ayush. This journey was originally started from 1961, that all the traditional medicinal system should be taken care of, should be researched, and should be used for the benefit of the people of the country. So apart from the system of medicine which is known as Ayurveda, they have put forward this yoga and naturopathy, Unani system of medicine, Siddha and Swarikpa, along with the homeopathy. But homeopathy is not the native of this particular land. Homeopathy has a origin in Germany. Therefore, originally the system is called the Indian system of medicine and homeopathy when it was formed. So presently, all these 5 systems clubbed together to form the Ministry of Ayush, and this ministry has an impact on healthcare throughout India. It has national institutes, total 10 national institutes are there in India. It has research councils, total 5 numbers. It has a board called National Medicinal Plant Board, and it has a very big library, digital library, which is called Traditional Knowledge Digital Library. It is formed to take care of the patents and especially the biopiracy of medicinal plant related informations. So in Northeast India, we have 2 different institutes. One in Shillong, the name of the institute is Northeastern Institute of Ayurveda and Homeopathy, and one is in Pasighat, which is the Northeastern Institute of Ayurveda and Folk Medicine Research. So these 2 are there in our region. One is in Shillong and one is in Pasighat. So I'm giving this information to you so that you can have a look in the website of this ministry. Then you can find that what are the institutes, what are the researches going on, what are the possibilities of employment of the students, and any schemes which you can apply to your colleges, your institutions like that. So I hope you will search for this ministry and for the other institutes of this council and this ministry to look forward to the employment generation sector. Hope I am audible, no?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay. So in Northeast India, we have 5 research institutes. These institutes are basically working for the Ayurveda sector of this ministry. And I'm working in Central Ayurveda Research Institute, which is situated in Guwahati in Assam. And there are some other institutes in Arunachal Pradesh. It is in Itanagar, one is in Gangtok, one is in Dimapur, and one is Agartala. So we are working in a coordinated way in different sectors. We have clinical research trials, which trials are going on humans before the finalization of any drug which is going to be developed. A clinical trial on humans is very necessary. and we are conducting those trials. But in today's presentation, I am directly talking about the medicinal plant research, not about the other aspects. So we are trying to cover the entire northeastern region through these 5 institutions. The Tripura Institute will generally look after the works in Mizoram also. From Dimapur, we are trying to cover the Nagaland, Manipur areas. From Assam, from Arunachal, and from Sikkim, we are trying to cover up the Meghalaya also. So though we have 8 states in northeastern region, we have 5 institutes only at present. And our headquarter organization is Central Council for Research in Ayurveda and Siddha, which is CCRAS, and one supporting agency is National Medicinal Plant Board, which is a funding agency. So what we basically do? We basically do different field studies in different regions of northeastern region. Field studies related to the survey part, to the medico-ethnobotanical survey and research, drug collection for different research and development activities of different organizations throughout India. Actually, we should be very clear about the medicinal plant research. While working on a particular drug, to especially in the biochemistry part or in pharmacology part, we generally collect the same plant from different agroclimatic zones in the country, so that a standardized protocol can be developed. Otherwise, what happens? Depending upon the geographical or topographical conditions, the biochemical components of a particular plant or plant part varies. Therefore, it is very necessary to collect all the samples from different areas and to make a standard research so that a particular drug can be standardized and a specific methodology can be established. So in such case, we collect genuine raw drug samples from different areas, and for the collection, we have to visit the entire northeastern region in different seasons and in different localities. So while taking the survey and while going for collection of materials, we generally took photographs of those plants in natural habitat. We use GPS so that a particular tagging can be made for future references. We have specific survey formats, and we prepare botanical reference materials in the form of herbarium specimens, museum specimens, and live specimens. And live specimens, in case of the rare, threatened, and endangered species, we generally collect those things and we preserve it in our garden as a germplasm collection. So while doing that, we have to prepare such type of maps through the use of GPS and other artificial intelligence which are available online. So this is a snapshot of the work, how we collect information, how we have to discuss these things with the local inhabitants, with the folk healers of different regions. We have to, while collecting the information, we have to certify those materials. We have to collect those materials as a reference material, and after that, after documentation in the specific format, we have to submit into the Traditional Knowledge Digital Library. So what is this Traditional Knowledge Digital Library? It is an organization where all the traditional and folk informations, they are gathering from all the corners of the country, and systematically they placed it in different sections. So when a particular patent application is filed from different countries like Germany, US, Iran, Israel, so every country has to send a copy to this TKDL. and they seek information about the plant material or the formulation or about this information, whether it is available in Indian system or not. And if it is available here, in that case, that patent can be cancelled. That patent can be rescinded. So this is very important. This is a legal authentication report is there. If the legal clarifies that information that it is not available in India and it is not practiced in Indian system of medicine, in that case only they can apply for further processing in the patent application. Whatever it may be, what we do with the information, we try to validate those information through literatures. The literatures are generally the research papers, the review papers of different impact factor journals, and from the classical references also. Then after completing all the literature work, we try to screen out the new information and new plans, and which we subjected for the research and developmental activities through which are scattered in different areas in the country. Actually, our institute, our council has total 32 institutes which are distributed throughout India. In case of DNA barcoding like work, we generally send samples to the institute. In case of biochemistry, we send it to Calcutta and Jhansi. In case of pharmacology and other preclinical activities, we generally send it to Chennai and Delhi. So we are working in a coordinated way within our institute and throughout other organizations. So we do experimental studies also. So we are now practicing the molecular taxonomy works. We are working on the chemical chemotaxonomy and chemical characterization work. We do phytochemistry with the help of GCMS and SPTLC, etc. And we have a pharmacology lab also where animals are actually they are not called animal nowadays. They are called experimental organisms. So there is an animal house. We subjected to the animals during the preclinical activities for pharmacological activity testing. So here is an example. I hope you are, it is visible there. So this is a species called as Elstonia scholaris, which is we are calling as Sotiona. So there are two different varieties. They are established as Elstonia scholaris, but we are getting some morphological differences in field. That's why we have collected these two things and collected the information about its taxonomic characterization, its ethno-pharmacological informations which are available in literature. We have done the phytochemistry part, pharmacology part, and toxicology part. And after that, what we get that though they are similar in nature, they have differences in their chemical compositions, and their efficacy also different in different disease conditions. So these two things can be established as two different varieties or two different species. Presently, drafting of the paper in this concern is going on. Next, these are the books which are written in Assamese language. Bonokori Kothare Ahomor Bidku, Bondorabor Gun, Hausleva Bondorabor Gun, Bonokori Bidku. Perhaps all you know that legendary person Gunaram Khonikona is very famous for these books. Actually, these books are generally available in every household in Assam. So these things should be validated. These things should be experimentally proved, and through the publication of this information in the high impact factor journals, we generally try to establish our own indigenous knowledge in a scientific way. And nowadays, the importance of high impact factor journal and UGC recognized journal are everywhere. Especially the faculty members of colleges are directly concerned with these things, and the PhD scholars also. So you should know about the high impact factor journals and what journals are recognized by UGC. So for that, you can take the help of the library concerned person. So they will definitely help you. So this is a different thing. About this case of Sarpagandha, this is Rauwolfia serpentina and Rauwolfia tetraphylla. So what we have done during the survey and collection of raw materials from wild and marketplaces, we found that in place of roots of Sarpagandha, that is the Rauwolfia serpentina, some people are adulterated the roots of Rauwolfia tetraphylla. Though it is called Sarpagandha, but the roots are of a different species that is called Rauwolfia tetraphylla. So while doing the study, in the initial step, while checking the distribution, we found that the Rauwolfia serpentina is native in our region, but Rauwolfia tetraphylla is a native of African countries, and it was introduced in our region only. So after that, we have worked on their taxonomy. We find that Rauwolfia serpentina leaves do not have any trichome, but the tetraphylla leaf have trichomes. It has differences in their gynoecium, in their other reproductive organs. It has differences in leaf venation, leaf stem anatomy, leaf anatomy. Everywhere it has differences. Even we have done the CCMS, SPTLC, etc., and we found different peaks of different chemical compounds. So this was actually a dissertation work done by a student of Silapathar Science College under my guidance. So she has done a tremendous work to differentiate these two things, but the roots are actually adulterated. So she has concluded with some characteristic differences so that we can differentiate the drug in the field as well as in laboratory. So this type of simple works can be done in colleges as dissertation studies, especially during the master degree final year or in undergraduate courses also, if there is any scope for dissertation work. This is another example. This is a species called Dioscorea dumetorum. This species was first recorded from India in 2021 from Odisha. But while taking consideration of that publication, I found that somewhere I have gone through this plant somewhere in other references and also in field. So I have tried to collect these specimens from different areas and found that this species is here in Assam, but it has been wrongly reported till now. This species is reported as Dioscorea hispida. But where is the difference? In the aerial part or above the ground, we cannot differentiate the Dioscorea hispida and dumetorum. It has the differences only in the rhizome. In case of hispida, the rhizome is of single lobe. But in case of dumetorum, it has three-lobed rhizome. It has three lobes in its rhizome. So we collected this specimen from Biswanath area actually. And this species and the report of this species is going to publish in the next issue of Regia journal. That journal is published by Indian Association for Angiosperm Taxonomy. It has already been accepted. In the next issue, it is coming. So while reporting new species or new distributional records of any medicinal plant or any plant, we have to submit Voucher specimens in index herbariums. So we have a herbarium called Northeast Herbarium of Ayurveda Research. It is in our institute only. So we are index herbarium, and index herbarium submission of Voucher specimen in index herbarium is essential in case of PhD research and in case of such type of publication also. So what is index herbarium? Herbarium indexing is done by New York Botanical Garden, and throughout the world they are indexing those herbariums as the indexed herbarium. So in Assam we have 5 indexed herbarium as of now. Since we do not have any index herbarium of BSI in Assam, but we have index herbarium in our institute, which is NEHAR. One is Guwahati University Botanical Herbarium, which was the oldest herbarium. Then this CSR NIST have one herbarium, which is situated in Jorhat. This TOSEHIM, this is the herbarium of, I forgot the full name, but it is the orchid herbarium of East Himalayan region, which is situated in Tinsukia, I think. Perhaps you have heard about this Kanjit Gogoi. He has founded this herbarium for orchids only. And one is situated in Kasar, Silchar, that is in Assam University, Silchar Herbarium. So in Assam, we have 5 herbariums, and these index herbariums are very essential to authenticate those species of new report and new distributional record also, and in case of any PhD research also. So this is a glimpse of index herbarium situated in Assam. So what is there in NEHAR, that is Northeastern Herbarium of Ayurveda Research? So we have surveyed the entire Northeastern region in different time, and presently we have almost 8,100 plus herbarium specimens. We have collected raw drug museum samples of more than 550 specimens are there, and we have live specimens of 200 for demonstration. Actually, we have a very small area of medicinal plant garden where we kept those live specimens. 200 number of live plants are there. We have a taxonomy lab. We have student projects and dissertations. And angiosperm, taxonomy, and ethnobotany are the main focus of this lab. And comprehensive database we are preparing on the entire Northeastern region, and repository of more than 800 literature. We have a repository of especially of the ethnobotanical references which were published since 1950 in Northeastern region. Now we are compiling all those informations to make a comprehensive database so that an easy review can be done by anybody, by any researcher or by any students. So this is a very interesting and important guideline while collecting those informations and collecting the medicinal plant parts from the field. So while collecting different parts of medicinal plants for any purpose, for any research purpose, we have to collect only mature and desired parts. Please do not collect the whole population. Do not cut the twigs and branches, and do not collect herbs from roadside and near sewage area. Use proper equipments. Dry aromatic herbs, delicate fruits, etc. should be dried in shade area, and everything should be labeled with correct informations. And for underground parts, to be collected after seed setting. And in case of bark and stem, do not harvest from immature plants and collect from the branches instead of main trunk. Stripe the bark longitudinally, not horizontally, and very carefully. And in case of leaves, flowers, fruits, seeds, and floral parts, they are very delicate. So do not collect from unhealthy plants and leave some floral parts on the plants while collecting the flowers and fruits especially. And harvest the seeds once the fruits are completely mature. And in case of gum, oils, etc., make incision vertically rather than horizontally to collect the gum or resins. Do not leave gum or resin exposed in the field. It should be covered with cotton cloths. And very interesting, always avoid the harvesting at wrong season or immature plants. Cutting plants or branches and excess digging for underground parts, which cause harm to the other parts of the plant. So cutting and extra digging should be avoided. And in case of storage, enough and right space is always necessary. Should not allow entry of rodents, insects, birds, etc. in the storage area. And any inflammatory products like any oils, etc., or gum, resin, they should be always placed separately. Each lot of medicinal plants stored should bear a label. That label should include all the information of date of collection, who collected this, where it has to be supplied, the quantity of the stored material, etc. And in case also, avoid always the storing in open places or on any surface directly. Always you should use a platform to store any collected parts. And always use appropriate packaging material. And while collecting and supplying, always use the word FIFO, that is first in, first out. So this formula always should be preferred. And always the abnormal heat and moisture should be avoided. This is a general guideline to the collectors of medicinal plant parts for research purpose or for any economic uses. So again, coming back to the collection part. So Assam has 6 agroclimatic zones. So first one is the Lower Brahmaputra Valley zone, then Upper Brahmaputra Valley zone, then North Bank Plain zone, Central Brahmaputra Valley zone, Hill zone, and Barak Valley zone. So your college is in which zone? Can anybody answer? Any student?
There is an Upper Brahmaputra Valley, I think.
Yeah, it is Upper Brahmaputra Valley zone. Gorgaon is in Upper Brahmaputra Valley zone. So all these agroclimatic zones have differences in their geographical and topographical or vegetational characteristics. We are generally getting different samples from different zones, which bear different chemical nature. So we have to quantify or qualify which plant bears better results in case of their characteristics, in case of their chemical nature, or in case of the efficacy in disease treatments. So we generally collect plant parts for research from these different agroclimatic zones at the same time for the same study. So this is a glimpse of different spices sold in different markets of our local areas. This is a herbarium samples, and this is a photo while collecting and arranging the herbarium seeds within the field. So these are some examples how we collect photographs, how we collect the samples, how we document these samples. Putting a scale in the side of the sample always shows the exact size of that sample after drying also. So use of GPS is very necessary. Previously, what we do, we have collected the photographs of the area in the signboards, but after this development of GPS, we generally used to collect the information with the GPS photos so that it can be used for future references also, and it can be found again. And the survey track also can be mapped. The track map can also be prepared. So these are some photographs collected in natural habitat, because after cutting the parts or after collection, these get dried so that the original color of the flowers, leaves, or the other parts or like fruits, roots, stem, bark cannot be traced out. Therefore, before collecting any specimen, we generally took the photograph of the sample in the field itself. There is one more important thing, as I am interested to document the interesting plants of our medicinal plant resources or the plant resources of Northeastern India. So this is called monotypic taxon or monotypic taxa. So it is very interesting. I think perhaps you have heard about these monotypes. Monotypes are the plants which do not have their sisters or brothers. For example, if a particular genus is placed in a family, the family does not bear any other genus, or any particular genus bear only one species. It do not have any other species within that genus. In such case, these plants are called monotypic plants, monotypic species or monotypic genus, or a family can be monotypic. If the family bears only one genus and one species, in that case, that family can be said as a monotypic family or monotypic taxa. So this is very interesting. It is my subject of interest at present. So I have tried to collect all the monotypic plants available in, especially in our region. For example, this you know about this Lawsonia inermis, which is called as Zetuka in Assam. This is Tamarindus indica, which is very common. It's called Teteli. Pistia, you know this Puni. No? But Hemidesmus and Gynocardia are a little bit rare. These species do not have any sister species. Means Lawsonia inermis do not have any Lawsonia other species. It is only one. They do not have their brothers or sisters in this world. Therefore, this is our duty to conserve these things. And this sustainable development goals comes here. The target of sustainable development goal is directly related to these monotypic species, as these do not have any their their genomes are not duplicated, or the related genomes cannot be found in our vicinity or in an entire world. They are lonely. Therefore, it is our duty to conserve these things and to propagate this. Especially, this is common. Lawsonia inermis is common. Tamarindus indica is common. Hemidesmus can be found in the foothills of Nagaland, Meghalaya areas also. Gynocardia is also available in Lakhimpur and Gwalpara areas. But some are very critically endangered. For example, one is called Paracampharia. This is critically endangered. Status was given by IUCN. So such type of plants should be conserved. So other than this conservation part or research part, what we do, we promote medicinal plants among people for general use and for cultivation also. But this is Tinospora. Tinospora is called Gurusri or Hogunilata in Assamese. And this is Boerhaavia diffusa, which is called Punornoa. There are so many other plants like these two plants. What we used to do, we used to develop nurseries. We prepared saplings of these plants and we used to distribute these things in public meetings in different organizations in our areas, in public meetings and different occasions also. At the same time, we do some research work from the cultivation point of view, like the growth pattern, germination patterns also. We distribute in different programs. We planted such type of medicinal plants in school campuses. We try to aware local people and faculty members of different schools, colleges, etc. about the use of these plants. And if these plants can be grown in school areas or college areas, the benefit of these plants can be given to the students and to the families concerned directly. So have anybody seen this plant in your area? I think many of you have heard about this polah, no? Butea monosperma. But is there anybody who found this Butea superba, which is called Lota polah? It is a woody climber actually.
Can you tell me where it is found? Beauteous superba.
Superba, it can be found in Meghalaya border. I have found it in the Sonapur areas and in Gwalpara. Perhaps it can be available in Morioni side also.
Okay. Okay.
There is a interest why I am showing these two pictures. I'm getting these two plants in some places, but I am searching for a Butea species which is white in color. While during survey during 2015, I think 15-16, I have found one plant which is Butea, but the flowers are white. I have collected that plant. We have museum sample and herbarium specimens also. We have photographs also. In Jorhat, there is called, it is nearby this science college. After science college, before reaching Tiok, I have found that plant in the left side, approximately 200 to 300 meter in the left side. But during nowadays, this plant is not there, and I'm searching for this white flowered Butea species. If anybody found this plant, please inform me. And my number is there with Dr. Dimbeswar Das. You kindly contact me for collection of that species. Okay.
Sure, I will inform you.
Again, this is actually simply, we also issue drug authentication certificates. We do herbarium assessments. Pharmacognostic evaluations are done. Chemical profiling also we are doing. We do standardization works. We do molecular characterization and quality material supply for research and development purposes. Thank you. And before closing, I'd like to say that there are so many employment opportunities in these departments of Ministry of Ayush. Along with that, there are so many schemes available for different organizations like schools, colleges. This type of gardens can be developed in schools and colleges also. National Medicinal Plant Board giving us funds to these organizations. And presently, I am working as a coordinator of medicinal plant research throughout India. So I can definitely help you in this regard. Your college or any organization, even the self-help groups and NGOs can also apply for small projects for funding. This type of small nurseries and cultivation programs can be developed in your areas. Devanjal University recently get such type of fund. They have research and development funds. They have funds for seminar workshops. They have fund for nursery development. They have fund for cultivation, conservation, in situ conservation, ex situ conservation, etc. So you can apply for this.
Devanjal.
Yes. If there is any question, you can ask.
I have one query regarding this funding of projects. So
Yeah.
how can we apply? Is there any specific format is there for applying these funds?
Definitely. National Medicinal Plant Board has a website. You can find the schemes there. The specific prescribed format is there. And if any college or authority have to provide the information about the legal status of that organization, and anybody can apply for that. Any NGO or any self-help group can also apply.
So what is the fund limit? How much they are going to provide us?
Maximum fund limit is 1 crore. But in case of colleges, or it depends upon the facilities available in the area.
Okay.
Suppose in case of garden, you cannot buy a plot of land. You have to be the plot of land which you are going to use should have a legal control. Means the college should have the property in their name, or any organization should have the property in their name for the development of garden or cultivation project. In case of seminar, they have also some limitations, like in case of state level seminar, I think they are giving 2 to 5 lakhs. In case of national level, they are giving 5 to 10 lakhs, like that. They have limitations.
Okay. So can you tell me the at what time
Yes,
we can
I
apply?
can send you the.
Okay, I will talk to you later in this regard. So Sanjeeva, it's open to all. Is there any queries? Sandeepa, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. There is one question.
Okay.
Yes.
It is a question from one of
more.
our students, Nilutpal Bora. So,
Okay.
what are the benefits of incorporating traditional knowledge of medicinal plants into modern healthcare practices?
Okay. So in using modern healthcare practices, we are talking about the side effects, or prolonged use of allopathic medicines always creates some problems in our health system. And in that case, those plants which we are using as our regular dietary habits, we are using traditionally, they will definitely not harm us like the allopathic medicines. For example, I can say one plant which is called Mosondori. Mosondori is used for diarrhea, dysentery, especially for children. But interestingly, this plant is not mentioned in any classical text in India. This plant is not mentioned in Ayurveda, not in Siddha, not in Unani, not in homeopathy, nowhere else. This is purely a indigenous knowledge associated with these plants. And we are using, especially in Assam, we are using this plant since long. This is called non-coded information. This is a purely ethnobotanical information which we are using. Perhaps the use of this plant, this is called this is Mosondori. Perhaps you have get benefited from this plant only. So while using this allopathic treatment, we can use this traditional system of medicine or any indigenous system of medicines which can help improve our health as well as our immunity. I can cite one more example. This is Pogos. This is called Hukloti. So in our villages or in our local areas, after any operation, this plant is preferred to take for own healing property. It has a own healing property. So we took this plant with our rice so that his the internal wounds of the operation or any other wounds can be healed fast. So this is nowhere written in any classical literature. This is traditional use. This is indigenous use, which we are using from, we are getting it from our parents, our ancestors like that. So along with uses of the modern or allopathic treatment of medicine, we can use this traditional system so that the diseased person can get benefited from this, and it can help to develop his health very quickly and for a long time.
Thank you, sir. There is another question. How can we check whether a plant species is monotypic or not?
Okay. So initially, one have to get it from the literature review only, whether this plant is monotypic or not. Suppose we are getting one plant. This plant is Ocimum basilicum. So while searching for this Ocimum genus, we could very easily get that Ocimum have different species: Ocimum gratissimum, Ocimum tenuiflorum, Ocimum canam, Ocimum, and other species are also there. So when this genus have more than one species, it is not a monotypic species. But when during literature survey we got that the genus do not have any other species, in that case we can conclude it as a monotypic species. This is simple. This is very simple answer.
So there is another question. How is traditional knowledge about medicinal plants passed down from generation to generation?
See, this is a very common question. Our ancestors, before thousands of years, there was no script at all. They pass on the information orally to the next generation. Then again, the next generation passes that knowledge to the next generation or their followers. And nowadays, what we are doing in the remote corners of our region, when a snake bite case is there, we generally rush to the nearby base or nearby person who can cure it. After that, we are going to the modern hospitals, or in some places where hospitals are available easily. In that case, we are ignoring the traditional knowledges and we are not bothered about the traditional knowledge, but we are directly connecting the modern facilities available. So we have to educate these folk healers or these traditional healers which are available in different corners of our region. We should make these things into literature. These things should be documented in proper format, not only by publication, but also with the help of the concerned ministry or with the local colleges or other educational institutions. This should be published in a scientific way with the help of the literature, with the help of, if necessary, with the help of the experimental researches. Other than that, what we can do, we can contact this ministry to validate that information. There is a process called validation of folklore knowledge, where anybody, any person or any folk healer can directly contact to the ministry that I have this much of knowledge, I know this fact about this plant. So they will directly contact them, collect that information, go through a review, and after that, if necessary, the experimental works are also being done. And going through all the scientific works, if there is any scope of patent or any scope of development of new drug, in that case, that person is also benefited from this intellectual property right. Such type of provisions are already there. So among the participants of today's meeting, I request everybody, if any such person is there in your locality who try to or who want to develop their knowledge to the scientific world, kindly contact me. I will definitely contact with those persons and pursue that matter to the ministry. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have 2 more questions. What about the non-scripted traditional knowledge? Is your organization trying to authenticate it? Non-scripted traditional knowledge.
I'm not getting the actually non-scripted.
What are the non-scripted? What about the non-scripted traditional knowledge? Is your organization trying to authenticate it?
Actually, presently we are running a project in entire northeastern region. We are collecting information about all the folk healers of these northeastern states, and we collect their photographs, their identity, their GPS locations, and we are interviewing those persons to collect the information from their end. After that, these informations are to be scrutinized with the literatures available, and after scrutiny, we will screen out those new information or those new plants which we are going to test it in laboratories for preclinical studies. If suppose a person is claiming that this particular plant has a wound healing activity, in that case, we will go to wound healing activity for that plant in the animal experimentation first in the pharmacology lab. And if these results are positive, in that case, we will go for clinical trials in humans also. And if such trials are positive, in that case, it will be developed into a new drug. And in that case, patent is very necessary. So in such cases, this particular person or a particular community can get benefit. For example, this GI tag, everybody knows about the GI tag now. So in case of GI tag, what happens? Particular community or particular area get the benefit of intellectual property rights for the royalties. So in case of drugs also, if particular person is applying from their end for a particular claim, that system is there to validate these things experimentally and clinically also, so that it can be developed into a intellectual property right for development of new drug. I think the person who is asking this question is.
So this question was from Dimbesa Dasa. He's asking another question. What is the procedure for taking up internship in your organization?
Internship for undergraduate students or postgraduate students?
Devanjal is
So
for
can you-
undergraduate.
Undergraduate.
For
In
undergraduate.
case of undergraduate, you need to apply in a to our organization with the subject, and actually it should be within the mandate of our institute. If you are trying to have a dissertation from that student or a group of students, it is better to send 2-3 students in a group so that a subject can be given to them. It is for 3 months or 6 months for a semester, full semester or what?
It has to 1 month or 2 months duration basically for actually in
Okay. Now,
yeah,
if it
carry
is
on.
for only 1 to 3 months, then
Yeah.
I prefer minimum 3 students in a group
Okay.
so that dissertation can be made.
Okay.
You can just apply directly,
Okay.
stating the
Thank-
purpose of your application.
okay.
Thank you, sir. There is another question from Nilutpal Bora. What
Too
are
many
the
questions.
potential risks and limitations of relying solely on traditional medicinal plant knowledge for healthcare?
See, this is a modern world, and everybody knows the use of mobile. So when a person fall ill, they go to doctor in the afternoon hours, but they pass the whole day searching the information about this disease condition in mobile phone. So everything is very clear. Be directly take the traditional medicine without the guidance of any expert. But it is true also that we should always prefer local diets. Local diets have always medicinal values. It can be used to prevent the disease condition. Actually, prevention is always better than cure. So after getting diseased or after getting ill, you should go to the modern facilities, but not to fall ill, you should take the indigenous medicines or indigenous plants. Okay.
Thank you, sir. There is another question from Borokha Buragohai. She is also a student. So what are the difference between red pollack and white pollack?
Detailed differences for detailing differences, I am searching for this white pollack. But in 2015, I have collected the plant only from the Teok area. At that time, I found that the plant is quite similar with the normal this Butea monosperma, normal pollack plant, but the flowers are white. At that time, I am not working on the experimental part. I have just collected those plants. I have dried flower as of now. Photograph of the plant is with me, and I know the location, but presently that tree is not there. So I cannot clarify directly about the differences because the sample is not in front of me. Okay.
One more question from Shamol Borua. How to inform the younger generation about the benefits of these medicinal plants, their planting and conservation as they are non-scripted?
See, for conservation, we do not require any high level of education or high level of information. In our locality, in general sense, in the view of a layman, we can find some plants are missing, some plants are decreasing. What we have seen before 20 years, it is not in front of us nowadays. So those plants which are degrading or which plants are decreasing, we should plant those plants. We should always prefer to plant it in our gardens, it in our neighboring areas. This is a simple step for general conservation aspect, or you can call it as a ex situ conservation. Like all know about Jadav Payeng, what he is doing. He is just planting different plants in a particular area so that a conservation can be done and it has a contribution to the climate change aspect. So for conservation, no need of any high information, or if anybody requires any high information, so there are so many literatures are available from conservation point of view. Okay. Can I close now?
So one more question from Devanjal sir. Is there any plan reported by you or your organization for the cure of COVID diseases?
For the cure of causing diseases?
COVID.
COVID, no. Actually, COVID, what is COVID? COVID is it is a virus actually, and it impacts our immune system. So to develop immune system, what we need to do? To develop our immune system, we just need to what we need to do? We need to follow a certain routine in our diets. We need to take the indigenous. We need to avoid the these fast foods. We need to develop our immunity by taking these citrus fruits. We can take the citric acid and different local fruits. We are generally taking what fruits? We are taking the mangoes and bananas from markets only, no? But we are not taking the bananas and mangoes from our own locality. We are always collecting those from markets which are coming from Nagpur, Shillong, like that, no? But we should prefer our indigenous food. We should prefer the indigenous habit of food taking. We should go for this Ritusarya, Dinsarya. I hope you know about this thing, no? For example, kothal. Kothal ketia ulai, kothal ulai goromot ulai, no? But we are not taking kothal in summer season because kothal generally creates for high BP. Therefore, we are not in a way to prefer kothal in taking in the month of June, July, but kothal is always coming in that particular time. So we should take some of them. We should take some mangoes in May, June, July. We should take orange in December, January, February, like that. So while doing these things, our body system will get entire vitamins and other requirements, chemical requirements, which are helpful to improve the immune system. Okay.
Devanjal?
Yes.
Yeah, one more question. This is the last question from Pranati. She is asking a directly question to you. So, Pranati, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sir, in your slide, you have shown like 5 specimens, which are 5 species which are monotypic.
Mm-hmm.
And out of the 5 specimens, like I have just checked in literature, like 2 of them Tamarindus indica and one is Lawsonia inermis. Both of them are showing like 2 homotypic synonyms and 2 heterotypic synonyms. Like Tamarindus indica is showing Tamarindus officinalis and Tamarindus umbrosa, and 2 heterotypic synonyms Tamarindus occidentalis and Tamarindus somalensis.
Yes.
So, sir, could you please clarify it?
Yes. Actually, what I am saying that this monotypic status can be determined in family level. It can be determined in genus level. It can be determined in species level, and it can be determined in variety or subspecies level also. So since we are taking species as the smallest unit of classification in taxonomy, we are talking about the species level only as of now in my presentation. So this is the first point. And in case of second point, as of now, the APG system of classification, which is followed by the entire world, clarifies that the smallest unit should be always the species level. That's why it is called as monotypic species. But some species have two or more subspecies and varieties also. In that case, if somebody is working on monotypic taxa, see, monotypic species and monotypic taxa are two different things. While we are talking about this taxa may be a family, maybe a genus, maybe a species, or maybe a subspecies or variety. So in that case, in case of variety, it is not monotypic, but in case of species, this Tamarindus or this Lawsonia are monotypic. And some synonyms are definitely there because they are reported wrongly or maybe reported from different organizations from different of time. So they became a synonym nowadays. But don't mix these two things, monotypic taxa and monotypic species. While taking the species as a lowest unit of taxonomy, we are telling it as a monotypic species. But if we are going to take variety as the lowest level of taxonomy, in that case, it may not be a monotypic. I hope it is clear.
Sir, but it is showing that Tamarindus is showing 4 different species like Tamarindus officinalis, Tamarindus umbrosa, and I'm checking it in POVO, that is Plants of the World online.
Yes, yes.
So I'm not able to get it, like why it is showing again 2 different species.
2 species are there, no? Then
yes,
I have
sir,
to check
2 are homotypic synonyms and 2 are heterotypic synonyms.
Okay, homotypic synonyms are what? Homotypic means they are based on the same type specimen. Differently, but the type specimen are similar. Okay, but heterotypic synonyms are those where the type specimen have some differences, but names are similar. That's why they are called heterotypic synonyms. But both are synonyms. And while a plant is having some synonyms, the accepted name is always taken care of. But still, I will definitely check the POVO, Plants of the World online, for these Tamarindus. Okay.
Okay, sir. Sir, actually, I'm also working in angiosperm taxonomy where I have to find out the monotypic taxa. That is why I wanted to learn it. And when I seen your slide, like you're speaking about monotypic taxa, so I got curious to learn. That is why I just raised the question.
Achha. Where you are working now?
Sir, I did my like I have submitted my thesis in Guwahati University Botany department.
Okay.
And like I have reported a few monotypic taxa, but I'm like trying to learn what are the techniques to find it, because what I have learned is to find out in the monotypic taxa in POVO and other literature, as you have said earlier.
Okay. We will be getting in touch for details. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Sandeepa?
Oh, sir.
Okay. Sangeeta, are you here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So we can wind up the session now.
Thank you, sir, for your informative session. So now I would like to request Mrs. Sangeeta Setia to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Sandeepa. It was a very informative session by Mr. Devanjal Bora sir. We learned so many aspects from you about the traditional knowledge and medicinal plants and its recent advances in research. So we have come to the end of today's session of this week-long lecture series on botany, organized by Department of Botany, Gorgaon College. I, Mrs. Sangeeta Setia, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany, on behalf of organizing committee, would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to our respected principal, Dr. Saibasasi Mohanta sir, for his encouragement to organize this series. Also, I would like to thank Vice Principal Dr. Reena Hendik ma'am, the HOD and the coordinator of this lecture series, Dr. Dimbesar Das sir, for his continuous support. Today's host, Ms. Sandeepa Agarwala. Special thanks to the resource person, Mr. Devanjal Bora sir, for his valuable information and presentation. And last but not the least, all the participants. Thank you all. With this, we conclude today's session with an expectation to meet you all on Sunday with a new session. Thank you and good night.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.